Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 234. Ghislaine Maxwell, somehow, is still running around free. And reports out of France are saying that she's there. Well, you know how I feel about that. Ever since The Sun reported that she was in France the first time around, I did not believe it. And still, as we sit here today, I still do not believe that she is in France. If she was in France, and this source was to be believed, don't you think that we would have had some pictures to back up the assertions? At this point, we have more proof of Bigfoot existing than we do of Ghislaine Maxwell hanging out in Paris right now. I told you I was skeptical last night. I remain skeptical today, and I will continue to remain skeptical until we get some documentation proving it. Now, I don't know where she is, but I highly doubt it's in Paris, folks. It just does not seem like where Ghislaine Maxwell would be hiding out right now. For my money, it's one of three places: the United States, England, or Israel. One of those three places seems very, very likely for Ghislaine Maxwell, in my opinion. Now, how long have I been telling you not to pay attention to what this lady has to say when you see an article from a so-called source in regards to her? She is a master manipulator. She loves to play games, and she loves to be involved in spycraft. And that's what we see with these articles that have to do with her that come out. First it was the emails that were hacked. Then it was the other nonsense. Then it was, she's in France, down in a villa. Now she's in Paris. Everything she does it for a reason. The emails, well, that was to let everybody know that she was still somebody to be feared. That she was somebody who still had information that could bring the whole entire thing down. And Khan and Indike, they responded right away. Now you see it again here about her being in Paris. There is zero chance, in my opinion, that she is in Paris, folks. And with all of the circular reporting that we've seen in regards to these so-called sources when it has to do with Maxwell, none of them are reliable, in my opinion. None of them. All right, tonight's article is from the New York Post, and the author of this article is Maureen Callahan. The headline: Authorities are letting Jeffrey Epstein's fixer, co-conspirator, child abuser friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, get away with it. We got Osama bin Laden, but we can't catch a repulsive, fugitive, socialite co-conspirator? How many times have I said that? We can find people in caves. We can drop bombs on them from 80,000 feet in the air and be accurate as close to a quarter. Okay, the size of a quarter. But you're telling me you don't know where Ghislaine Maxwell is? The federal authorities don't know where Ghislaine Maxwell is? Come on. Since the death of sex trafficker, rapist, pedophile Jeffrey Epstein last August, the woman who allegedly recruited his many, many underage girls and sexually abused them herself has been in hiding. And there's no doubt that is exactly what she's been in, hiding. Ducking from safe house to safe house, supposedly. I don't even know how much I buy that, to be honest with you. And furthermore, if that's the case, who's paying for all of that? I thought she didn't have any money. That's why she was suing the estate. Isn't that what Menninger was saying? We all know the score, though. We know the scoop. We understand that Ghislaine Maxwell is playing games here, and she's trying to manipulate the system for as long as possible and drag this out till the very end if she can. And for year after year after year, the broken-ass justice system in the United States of America continually let these people get away with it. And Ghislaine Maxwell has hardly been moving cave to cave. Most recent reports put the 58-year-old in a luxury apartment in Paris right off Champs-Élysées. whatever, however you pronounce it. I don't even care at this point. I don't buy it, okay? I don't buy any of that. There's no pictures that go with it. The Sun didn't dole out the reward that they said they were going to give out. So again, folks, don't buy this whole she's in Paris thing right now. Not yet. In my opinion, there is nowhere near enough evidence, especially considering we know the games that she likes to play. At the risk of stating the obvious, Paris too is on COVID-19 lockdown. The Sun reports that Maxwell is currently living on Avenue Matignon in the city's 8th arrondissement in an apartment reportedly owned by a Normandy-based millionaire. Well, that's nice, huh? A Normandy-based millionaire. I wonder if this Normandy-based millionaire is related to the Plantagenets. This would put her just 5 minutes away from the late Epstein's own Parisian apartment, which was raided shortly after his suicide. Oh, this is so creepy. I mean, she's only 5 minutes from Jeffrey Epstein's apartment. Likely story, guys. This is all a likely cover story for her. I highly doubt, again, that she is in France right now. And if she is, let's see the pictures. Enough with the, oh, just believe us, believe our source type shit. Can we see the pictures, please? Until then, I don't even want to hear about France anymore. So, where's the urgency? Why hasn't this depraved criminal suspect, one who by many credible accounts sexually abused minors for years, been arrested yet? And that is the million-dollar question we've all been asking for decades. Why has Ghislaine Maxwell not been arrested yet? It's nice to see that you're getting more editorials in this same vein from different outlets, different media outlets that are covering the case. You see more of these editorials of people demanding justice. And I think it's very important to remember that the more people we have calling for justice, the higher the likelihood we have of attaining justice. Now, it's no guarantee, of course, right? Can't guarantee anything with this crooked-ass justice system. But the more people that we have screaming from the rooftops means the more pressure these politicians and these bureaucrats have on them to do the right thing. France may not have an extradition treaty with the U.S., but that doesn't explain why French authorities haven't taken her into custody. Well, I can explain that. She's not there, okay? That's why the French authorities haven't taken her into custody. She's running around with a carpet on her head or whatever the hell they were talking about in that article, and everybody can recognize her because of her sovereign rings on her left hand. Yeah, right. Nobody knows. Please. So some random person was walking around in the streets of Paris. They saw some lady with a carpet on her head or whatever it is, and her sovereign rings, and they knew right away that it was Ghislaine Maxwell. It is all so absurd, and I don't know how anyone can believe it. It's well known that Jeffrey Epstein was a sexual predator who knew no geographic boundaries. Maxwell appears to have been his madam, his pimp, his enabler, his co-conspirator, and reportedly a sex offender herself. Wow, way to go, Maureen Callahan. Letting her have it in this article here. Very nice work. Most people aren't courageous enough to call her pimp, an enabler, his co-conspirator, and the sexual offender herself. So I definitely give you credit for that line of thinking, because it's true. All of that is true. She is definitely an enabler, she's a co-conspirator, and she's being credibly accused of sexually abusing these girls as well in some cases. So yeah, nothing about that smacks of untruths, right? All of that is right, all of that is correct, and all of that is true. The world would be better off without her moving around in it. Yet it seems there are powerful people who disagree. What other explanation is there? Oh, folks, I thought it was a conspiracy theory. You're all engaging in a conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, we've been light years ahead of the legacy media once again when it comes to this sort of thing. How long have I been telling you this is not a conspiracy theory? This is a cover-up. For almost a year now. There is no chance that they are not being protected, that they weren't protected, that this whole entire operation wasn't being protected for all of these years. And guess what? In the case of Ghislaine Maxwell, she is obviously still being protected. Maxwell is one of the world's most wanted women, sought by the FBI for questioning. Yet, before the lockdown, she was seen swanning around Paris, patronizing high-profile four-star restaurants and cafes, dropping into art galleries, a scarf tied around her head as if she were Jackie O on Fifth Avenue. I don't believe any of that. That is according to a source from The Sun. Again, we have no confirmation. I'm going to need verification from other sources as well. I'm not just going to buy this narrative, right? And I suggest nobody else does either, to be honest with you. Until we have some tangible evidence that she is in Paris, I don't know how anyone can say that this is occurring. Nobody's come forward besides this source. And if this source was so ironclad and this source was such a home run source, why didn't this source get the £10,000 reward that the Sun is offering? Again, this smacks to me as classic spycraft and disinformation on the part of Ghislaine Maxwell and those who are still protecting her. These are the defiant actions of a remorseless woman who knows she is well protected. Her hiding seems almost performative. Maxwell isn't hunkered down on a private island or on a yacht in international waters. Her whereabouts are well known. Yet we're still playing Where in the World is Ghislaine Maxwell? See, I can't agree with Miss Callahan here because we don't know that. All we have is the one source. It's no different than when the whole entire Russiagate thing started and David Isikoff was the one circular source that everybody was sourcing, and then it came out that his source was Michael Steele. You have to be very careful when it comes to circular reporting these days. And my biggest piece of advice to everybody out there listening, make sure you are standing guard at the entrance of your mind and you are cautious about who you let in. There's a reason conspiracy theories still swirl around Epstein's suicide. At the time, he was likely the most high-value suspect in U.S. federal custody. As it was, his arrest was long overdue. His case made international headlines. He was on suicide watch. And he was friends with the very powerful men, heads of state, and royals among them, hosted at his homes and on his private island, flying on his private jet, known to all as the Lolita Express. So the idea that none of these men knew about Jeffrey Epstein, again, defies the most basic logic. And now we can agree again, Mrs. Callahan. We can agree about that. All of these people who said they had no idea what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, and they were going to his house and they were seeing all these pictures of these underage girls, these young girls on the walls, and they didn't ask any further questions, they didn't dig any deeper, well, nobody believes that you had no idea what was going on. You knew. You decided to turn your cheek and look the other way because it benefited you in some way. Sure, Prince Andrew has stepped down as a senior royal. So what? What does that even mean? He has never faced any consequences of any kind, even though Virginia Roberts has made consistent and credible claims that Epstein sex trafficked her to Andrew when she was just 17, and that Maxwell recruited and groomed her back in 1999, along with many other underage girls throughout the years. And we know for a fact that these people are being credibly accused, right? We know that these aren't some off-the-wall, from the shadows accusations. These accusations come from very, very credible sources, from very credible people, and from very brave survivors who have finally been able to snatch back some of the narrative and take their own story back. Maxwell doesn't even have the temerity of a Roman Polanski who also fled to France and whose stance for decades has been, yes, I raped a 13-year-old girl, bygones. Another guy who's sick in the head and should be brought to justice, Roman Polanski's bitch ass. We are living in a fraught and electric moment, one in which all manner of injustice is no longer tolerated, protests in the streets day after day, forcing us to ask hard and painful questions in pursuit of a fairer and freer world. And that's why I was blown away by the coverage of Berman getting fired, folks, and why I was so fired up about it earlier. They don't even mention the Epstein case in regards to Berman being fired, as if this isn't way more explosive than stupid-ass Rudy Giuliani and his dumbass buddy Lev Parnas. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Step outside of the echo chamber for a minute and take a look at the big picture, and then you might start to understand just what is really important here. Don't let Ghislaine Maxwell benefit from this as a distraction. Make her part of it. Make her and whoever else, no matter how powerful, pay. And that is exactly the goal of this podcast for sure. We're going to be on here every day doing the same thing, holding people as accountable as humanly possible, doing whatever small part that we possibly can to make sure this story does not go away. We will be here standing on top of the mountain, yelling and screaming with my big, gigantic, fat yap running, because this is unacceptable, folks. The fact that this woman is still free, the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell has not been arrested, and the fact that there isn't more yelling and screaming in the legacy media because of it is an outrage. And the whole entire legacy media as a whole, besides very few print outlets who have stayed on this case and have covered it doggedly, should be ashamed of themselves. But that would take self-awareness. And we know that they don't have enough self-awareness to even feel shame for their complicity in this case. Now, moving forward, we'll stick with it like usual. We'll see. Maybe she ends up being in Paris, and maybe I am wrong. It would not be the first time, that is for sure. But from where I'm sitting and from where the evidence has led me, I do not see her all of a sudden running around Paris in a brazen fashion, acting as if there's nothing going on and no big deal and there's nobody searching for her. That would be counterproductive to hiding in the hidey holes. That would be counterproductive of not answering when she's served summons. That would be counterproductive. So I highly doubt she's out in the public like that, and I highly doubt she's running around with her sovereign ring on and a scarf wrapped around her head in Paris. Highly doubt that, folks. Here is what I do not doubt, though. I do not doubt that if anybody ever deserved 3 hots in a cot, a jumpsuit, and a 6x10 cell, it is Ghislaine effing Maxwell. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. You'll be able to find the link to the article in the description box, and you will also be able to find the link to the GoFundMe for the podcast if you would like to help out the show. All right, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow.